Stop telling me you're using AI to run your meta ads when all you're really doing is plugging in an MCP and asking it some questions. In this video, I'm going to show you how to actually use agents that run 24/7 to optimize your ad accounts and give you insights when they actually matter. And for this, we'll be using Juno, the agent for marketing. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we've actually added meta ads in Juno. So this is an approved official plugin for meta ads. You may have heard online, a lot of people have been having their meta ads accounts banned because they're using unofficial APIs. Do not do that. It's too high risk and it's not worth taking the chance. This is actually an official one that uses Facebook's developer platform. So you can see here, I've got it active. And before we go ahead, you can link this together with Klaviyo, with Shopify, all these different things, and create some really incredible automations using your agent. But that's for another video. So for now, we're going to go ahead and just ask it a question. So I want you to analyze my meta ads account, build a branded report that includes high priority optimizations, look at the last 30 days of data. That'll get us started. We could put in loads of information and direction here, but I find that often to get the best out of agents, it's best to not confine it with your requirements too much. Let it figure out things for itself. Now, we don't need to use any MCPs. We don't need to load in any skills. Juno is going to know what to do because it's trained specifically for marketing jobs. So we're going to let it get to work here using its computer, and then we'll see what it comes up with. Okay, first things first, it's caught out that we've got a few different accounts. We run a few different brands, so we've got loads of different meta ad accounts. So rightly so, it's asking me what we want to focus on here. So I'm just going to give it some direction. Primary goal is trial signups and burning issues. I'm just going to say up to you. We'll give it autonomy there. I kind of want it to look at all of them, but let's fire that off and see what it says. Now, this is also important. Obviously, a lot of agencies will use this to automate marketing labor for their clients. It's just a way more efficient way to provide value and make sure you're not missing anything. It's another set of eyes and ears. If you are going to have multiple brands, then just use your workspaces menu up here to add new workspaces. And then every Juno agent gets its own computer, its own file system. Everything's isolated. It's just a smart way to do things. So you can see here that the first thing it's going to do is actually go into the meta ads account, start pulling in all this data safely and securely, and then we'll see it start to put together the artifacts for us. And just while this is getting to work, I'm going to show you something that you probably already know if you're in the meta ad space, but Facebook has the ad library, and it's a super valuable way to actually see what ads your competitors are running. So you can see here, I could search any kind of brand. Maybe let's go AG. Where's Athletic Greens? There we go. So AG1, for example, we can actually go and see what creative is working for them. And you might ask, how do we know which creative is working? And the reason we know is because we're sorting by impressions. So from this, we can extract some key insights. We know that in order, this is getting the most impressions and then it's descending, right? So impressions is just a proxy for spend, and they're not going to spend on ads that are not working for them. So we know that these ads are really doing well. Now, this is quite a manual process, but this is actually something, and this is for another video. I'm just kind of going on a bit of a skirmish here, but I will show this in a future video, but you can actually ask Juno, just use its browser to do this for you. And so what I do personally is I have Juno send me 20 new creative ideas from the ad library, from our competitors, or parallel companies within our kind of ideal customer profile. And I use that to just constantly be fueling me with creative ideas. So that's definitely another use case within the sphere of meta ads marketing that you can use with Juno to automate things. We can see now that it's getting all these insights, it's running some code, so we'll leave it a few minutes to get its work done, and then we'll come back and look at what it's created for us. Testing. And we can see it's now setting up its own databases to store this in. And these are special databases that it can then use to manipulate the data and create a live connection to any live reporting that it then creates. So there's some really cool use cases that having these databases enables, like if we were to use Juno to make a landing page, We could have a quiz or a form, and it could then take any inputs and put them in a database automatically. It's one of the more powerful features for marketing. But we're going to let it build out these databases as we can see it doing now. It's adding rows to one of these. I think it's added some rows to this one. So it's going to fill them all out. And then once it's prepared all the data, it's going to go ahead and create this report. So it's been working now for about 5 minutes, completely autonomously. There we go. It's just filling in all of this data now and updating in front of our eyes. It truly is a pretty magical thing to see. So it looks like it's going to go ahead and analyze our placements, gender, countries, and then also the creative. So this makes sense. It's also going to track the optimizations in a database. So I think the way we use this, I would set this up as a recurring task that happens like every other day or 2 times a week or something, or once a week, and then just emails me the report. Like, I don't need to see all these inner workings out, and I'll show you how to set that up in this video. Right now we can see it's in its own file system. It's like got all of this data that it's been grabbing from the APIs, and it's created its playbook so that it knows how to kind of work on this in the future. But it's basically just creating everything using its own autonomy. Okay, now it's created just all of the work for us. We can see it executing here, and it's summarizing it for us and creating a final little analysis summary as well. But let's actually see what it's created. It created 8 artifacts. If we actually go to the preview here, it's basically created a bunch of databases and then a report. So this is what I mean when I say this isn't just an MCP. It's doing so much more. And the reason why it's able to do so much more is because it's in this agent harness that has its own computer and its own databases and everything like that. So it's put together this report for us. It has a campaign breakdown, a geographic performance, and it's flagged something there, our lowest cost per registration, which is what we're looking for. And then it's segmented by age. So this is the really surprising thing here. If we full screen this, we've got like a higher CTR with these later female age ranges, and that's quite fascinating. Beyond that, we can see that the 18 to 24 is like the lowest, and then the kind of middle ages seem to improve again. So this is probably the most interesting to me, this split in ages, because it doesn't match my expectations. And this is a great example of how you can unlock insights. Unless you're spending all of this time just going through everything, then you're going to miss these things. And it's finally created a few high priority optimizations for us. So remove right-hand column placement. That's obviously bad. So it's pure budget burn at the moment. 0% CTR. Hasn't wasted an awful lot. So I'd probably leave it a little bit longer, but that's clearly some potential to save that. And then New Zealand's really working well for us. So the lowest cost per registration. So this is and the UK as well. So this is an interesting thing. So the US is a very saturated market. Commercialization in the US is just so much more extreme. So this is a great way to kind of monitor these geographics, especially if you're focused on worldwide. So if you're focused on like 10 plus countries, you can use this to actually monitor this. And what you may do is then segment it. So one thing you can do is you can find these kind of tier 1 countries that are really good in terms of ROI. You can split them with the tier 2 and the tier 3, and then create dedicated campaigns with different targets, maybe bid caps, just to make sure that you're not burning spend on low value. So it's created a bunch of optimizations, and this is all a gold mine. All of this stuff makes sense, and I had no idea about it, which I'm slightly embarrassed to say. If you're an agency and you're creating these reports, it can be a great way to kind of share context with your clients. In this example, it actually forgot to use our logo. So I can just say to it, use our logo in the report, and Juno's going to go ahead and search around its computer. We can see it's found our brand logo, and we'll just let it do its thing. So one thing we've seen a lot of agencies do is basically set this on a schedule. So Juno, if we go back to the dashboard, it has its own schedule here. I've got nothing scheduled at the moment, but it basically has its own work calendar because it's using its own computer. So it can be a really useful way just to set up these scheduled tasks and let the AI, the agent, manage its own work week. And then it doesn't matter if you've got 10 clients, 1 client, 100 clients, it can be doing this for all of them and sending out a report with kind of specific criteria of the things you want to share, the things you don't want to share. You can even make it so that it sends a version to you that's, got more information, a version to the client that's a bit more kind of explain like I'm 5 style. So that's kind of a good thing to do as well. And there we go, it's added our logo in, or it could be a client's logo, or whatever you'd like it to display. So the final thing I'm going to do here is just get this schedule setting up. So I'm going to say, run this every Monday and email the report to me. I don't need to see all these databases. I don't need to see all the code and computation that it's running. I just want this report sent to my email inbox every week so that I can act on it and unlock more performance out of our Meta Ads account. So that's all I really want. All these databases, really it's internal workings. And this is the great thing about Juno. You can just set it up like this and then kind of ignore it. So it's just going to quickly check its databases and schedules here, and then we'll see what it does. So one of the most amazing things that I've seen with Juno is that sometimes it will just send me an email out of the blue and be like, hey, I've noticed your Meta Ads. I've noticed this ad is just flopping, or this ad's really good. You should split test it. And it will send me that email without me even asking for it. And that's a fascinating thing, and I think a real kind of indicator of the way in which these tools will go, where they're very proactive. They know what we need before we ask for it. Okay, so we can see it's kind of documented what it needs to do in this file. It hasn't presented it to us because we don't need to see it. We could open it if we wanted to. It's created a database to track the work schedules, and then it's also created this schedule. So if I go to the schedule now, we can see at 9 a.m. every Monday, 5 days until the next run. And it's just logged that here as well, and it will update that when it completes it. So it's a pretty fascinating thing to actually watch it do this. I mean, in our actual account, we've got like an absolutely jam-packed work week for Juno, where it's just doing basically 100 hours of human labor every single day. And you can see here, it's got the schedule now on our dashboard. So I hope this was helpful to actually show you how you can use AI and agents these days to take optimization to another level. The way I see it these days is whoever has the best ideas wins. You don't need an agency that has 100 employees. You don't need a team of 100 employees. Whoever has the best idea can use agents to actually execute and get the best results, because the labor can be handled by agents. So I hope that was helpful. If you've got any things you would like to see in future videos, just drop a comment, and otherwise look out for the next one.